Greetings, Matt comrades. It is your humble DM, Mike Gergoni here, to let you know that we here at Material Components are now part of the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Punch Up is proud to present such podcasts as Panel Up, The Action Shelf, and the very podcast you're listening to right now. And of course, the best way to support all of these shows is by going to patron.podbean.com/punchup and becoming a patron today. When you do, you'll get access to all sorts of bonus content, including a brand new one-shot from the folks here at Material Components, in which our heroes attempt to solve a murder in the urban fantasy streets beyond the Veil. If you ever wanted to hear Michael Listman playing as Detective Sasquatch, now's your chance. Once again, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. Thanks for all the support, and now, let's get you into this week's episode. Material Components, Season 2, Episode 82. Small Steps and Giant Leaps. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there, brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble Dragon Master, Mike Gergoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
Oh, heck yeah.
You're welcome.
Anytime. Anytime
indeed.
Anytime.
Unless I'm
Hey, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I am Olivia, and I will be playing Florian of Akalar.
I'm Elliot, and I am playing Shay.
I am Michael Listman, and I am playing Oswald Octavian Theophilus III.
And I'm Reed, and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. Of course, before we begin today's session, I have to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Elliot, do you remember what happened last time?
I do. We had ourselves a nice little downtime session, where we all did some various activities together and apart.
Like skee ball.
Like skee ball. Well, that doesn't come till later. So, while we were kind of waiting for the extra infrastructure to arrive on the our new moon base, which has been named Aoka. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Aoka, after the miner who was killed tragically. Amari and Shay, kind of separately using their various resources and contacts, tried to find out some more information on Hector Loricus. And to kind of... Shay was doing it to try to find maybe an inn to maybe talk to him. I don't know what Amari's goal there was, but they didn't find out a whole lot of in-depth information. Hector being employed by a company as big as Aegis Tech and involved in such secret projects doesn't have a whole lot of data on the metanet or, around. So, gotta
Hector
figure out...
Loricus, of course, being one of the chief engineers of Project Chimera.
Right. You're listening to the shows. You're taking more notes than I am, probably, so no. I do appreciate
I know I am.
Oswald had a conversation with Mara about her burgeoning new abilities, her evolution, and the possible ramifications following making a deal with her in the previous episode.
And since she is a digital creature, you could say it's a digitalution. Is that what it's called? Digimon? Digitalution?
If we start talking about Digivolutions...
Digivolution. That's what it was.
Everything that pertains therein, we're going to be here all night. Okay? So
she's turning into Metal Garuru Mara, I believe.
I'm not even going to begin to tell you how wrong that is. Okay. Moving on, Elliot.
No, it's going to bother me.
Edamaramon? Is that? No?
Stop.
Okay. All right.
Please, I'm begging you.
Stop, it's already dead.
And then, kind of once we had gone back down Moonside, some of us also had conversations with Layla. Some more threatening than others. She basically told Florian to kill himself if the time was right, and gave him a very big, one of those big Atheum blades. So that's
I know there's
nice.
more context to this, but kill yourself when the time is right is such a sick burn.
And Shay had a conversation with Layla in which she basically said, the only way I'm going to trust you is if you become a wizard for Pride Rakasa. And I'm still chewing on that. So, and then the last thing that happened, was that the Rakasa family arrived. The rest of them. The 3 kids, Jabari,
And the other ones.
Rom and Sagira.
Rom and Sagira.
Yep,
Okay,
and you failed the test.
I had
Wait.
Rom, but I couldn't remember Jabari, and I was hesitating.
And the title of Auntie Shay has now been revoked.
That's fair.
Oswald's gonna swoop right in. What was the third
Auntie
one?
Oswald.
Auntie
swooping in.
Oswald. I mean, he's
I will
definitely
not
the
let
why
that
not.
happen.
It's true.
Unless you can write that on a list somewhere and that will help you eventually, then maybe.
Could be.
As well as Amari's mother-in-law. Did we get her name?
Vera is her
Vera,
name. I don't know if
okay.
anyone actually said it out loud, but that is what I said during the episode.
Okay. And so, and Amari was able to reunite with his kids, and that is where we left off.
Yes, indeed. Barring a birthday invitation given to
yeah,
Oswald near the end of the episode, which dictated that a certain family restructuring may occur in nearly 2 months' time. Barring that, yes, indeed, we find ourselves yet again on Moonbase Aoka, where all of you are currently residing and setting up shop, as it were. Now, there were some, let us say, non-witnesses to the arrival of Amari's family due to his, not telling anybody that was happening.
Par for the course.
Par for the course. But during your downtime, it was remarked just how quickly things had begun developing here on Aoka, going from a 12-person mining camp out in the middle of nowhere to this suddenly being a secure and bustling town with hundreds, if not over 1,000 residents suddenly in the course of a week. That was made possible due to prefabricated structures that were brought in by Womack and Sons and through the intense investiture of Pride Rakasa in this venture. This is basically, if this doesn't work out, Pride Rakasa is done for. The reason they're setting up base on the mining world specifically is because this is where the money is going to be made in this system. If they can exploit the resources of this world specifically to their best ability, then they can expand outward, but this is a good place to start a base of power, both politically and financially, for Amari's family. And everyone's leaning back with looks like, Mike, you're using words like exploit and leverage. Those aren't nice things to say about people who will be doing things for House Rakasa.
And
well,
natural resources.
maybe you're right.
Oh, that sounds like family. No, this makes sense.
Although, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also remembering that it was revealed by Scowell that maybe this mine is too dangerous to keep operating, or did I dream that?
I mean, that was an opinion that was floating around once people started dying, that's for sure.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing.
But we took care of that problem. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all good now.
Yeah. No more problems.
And if it keeps being a problem, it will reduce Amari's family to ruin and destitution. So I'm sure it won't be a problem in the future, right?
Interesting.
Some of you were not there for the arrival of Amari's family, namely Shay. Through a combination of A, you weren't told that it was happening, and B, you were walking through the town as it has been established now. The town itself doesn't really have a name. It's not big enough to really have a city or anything, but you are on Aoka, and this is the only settlement on the planet. So that's what it's called for now.
Michael,
There are
please
plen-
stop.
I'm just saying.
His face
The
lit
town
up when you said it didn't
means-
have a name.
A name.
Unbelievable.
It could just be Oot Town.
Theophilus is actually a very good name.
Right? Yes. Theophilus.
It does sound very imposing and dignified.
Right. Theophilus, the burgeoning metropolis. It's got a catchphrase.
All right, I'm going for a walk. And that's how we find ourselves here.
Yes, indeed. One of the buildings you are passing is of note because beyond a very specific function, it serves no purpose, which is a rarity in these new startup kind of colonies. Usually every single thing you have loaded in here, especially when you're really pushing yourself financially, should serve multiple purposes and be able to service the entire community to the best of its ability. Something like a recreation center, even while doubling as a way for the citizens and workers of this area to release steam, also does generate a little bit of revenue by having gambling there. So when you pass a church, it kind of takes you by surprise a little bit. Not least of which, because it's a church, I don't think Shay would be all that familiar with the denomination that is presented here. It is a draconic temple.
Oh.
I
Which
also thought it
is
was going to
the-
be a orcish temple. Damn.
No,
No, brother,
it's
human
not an
appearance.
orcish monastery.
Damn it.
No, this is a temple dedicated to the 9 divine dragons. Most famous of which is probably Minos himself. Though, depending on where you're from in the galaxy, the Draconic Temple has different iterations and different devotions to separate dragons. This one appears to be pretty broadly non-denominational. It doesn't hew to any particular dragon. It just seems to be a place of worship that is available for people who follow the faith. It's pretty small, all things considered. It looks like it is a single room affair. It is your standard Womack and Sons mobile chapel setup with customizable iconography included.
Okay.
And you probably would just pass this place by with a shrug, if not for the individual who comes out through the open kind of entryway. There's no actual door, it's just an archway with 9 kind of draconic statue pieces set into the door frame, saying your name, specifically your whole name.
Oh. The whole entire one.
When somebody comes out and says in a fairly loud voice, Michaelade Numerian Theodora Valerianus?
No, but I can take a message.
Are you they? And you see this wizened Leon coming out, and they are dressed in kind of long robes. There's a stole that falls around their neck, these long cloths, and the cloth to either side has the symbols of the 9 dragons on them.
Who wants to know?
Please, I need... If you are they, I need you to come inside, please.
Okay, look. That's, like, you understand why that sounds super suspicious, yeah?
I understand. I have a message to deliver, and I'd rather not do it out here. And you see this older Leon is kind of bent over a little bit. You can see that there's like some artifice built up around the back of his neck, like there's some kind of artificial device there for some medical purpose. You're not exactly sure what, but it's like built into the base of his skull and the back of his neck. And he's got this kind of like stoop, like he's been trying to accommodate for this piece of machinery that's digging into him a little bit for too long, and his posture has been affected by it. He's got patchy black and gray fur, and one of his eyes, the one on the side of the machine on the back of his neck, is full of cataracts, but it seems to be moving and being able to see, at least to some degree.
All right. I'm going to use my etheric senses to, like, I know that this cat has a bunch of like etheric stuff on him, but I'd like to try to feel to see if there's any pings coming from inside, like maybe weapons or other enhancements that someone would have to do harm to me.
Sure. You reach out with your etheric senses and you sense all the normal stuff, lights and some kind of climate control, and you sense that there is a slight shimmering field on the door. It is like a static field that would keep out weather. So despite the fact that there's no actual door, there's kind of a force field's not the right word, but kind of, you know how some grocery stores you walk into have those blowers that blow air straight at you when the door is open that creates kind of a windscreen for temperature control. That's an etheric version of that.
Okay. Shay will sigh. All right, I'll follow you in.
Thank you. Much obliged. And he'll turn and walk inside.
Shay will, like, poke their head in, like, first, like, look around really quick.
And there's nobody in here. Draconic temples are set up. There's not pews. There are these long mats on the floor that people would kneel on during service. And there is a small raised platform at the back of the church with the 9 statues of the different dragons arrayed in an order. Though you do see distinctly that Minos has actually been pushed all the way to the left of the arrangement. And that is not a traditional... Minos is usually somewhere near the center if you're in a Dominion space temple.
And I'll walk in.
And you see that the figure is getting to the back of the room and is turning and is lowering himself down on some rickety arms so that he can sit on the little raised platform. And as you come in, you note that there really isn't any lights on in here. The only light being cast is via these big stained glass windows that are along the ceiling. This place isn't like vaulted ceilings, but it is a story tall, and so probably about 15 feet, and up near the ceiling there are these stained glass windows. Okay. It's very, very utilitarian. So these shifting colors of light passing through glass as you move kind of stain the floor in front of you. And as you move towards the back of the space, you see the older Lean kind of stiffen a little bit, his back kind of hunched like he's adjusting some bit of his spine. And then as you get even closer, he will slowly, you can hear the cracking of vertebra as he lifts himself up and pushes his chest forward. And he inhales sharply, and when he exhales, he will blink and open his eyes. And then his eyes will open again. And you see these rectangular vertical slits appearing in his pupils.
Piss and shit.
And a big smile will spread across his face in a way that makes it look like the skin is kind of stretching a little too tight. And he'll say, "Ah, that is excellent."
Hey.
Oh, is that all I get? Hey.
What did you want me to bow?
That would be a start.
All right, what is it?
Kneel in supplication in this place of worship to one such as I. No?
No.
All right. You asked, what is it? What do you think it is?
Okay, yeah, clearly.
Favor time, little wizard.
Yeah, but all right, let's get on with it.
Get on with it. Yes, I like it. The gumption. Getting on with it then. Your favor has come due, Shelnam.
Okay.
Okay, that's it? No quaking in your boots? No, oh no, I'm gonna have to kill a friend's sibling or something. Nothing?
But we did that already.
But I do so love an encore.
Shay slaps a hand to their face. Oh no.
No.
How could this happen so soon?
There's no feeling in this one.
Whatever will I do? Whatever could the
Terrible.
terrible Ariel be forcing me to do? Oh, how could I have done this?
Terrible Ariel. That's not bad, actually.
Curses. Curses.
And the old Leon's body will kind of twitch and move in this languid way that really defies the musculature of this old man, and he'll kind of like slink upwards, his chest seemingly like pulling him forward and his legs catching the weight as it is pulled forward like some kind of awful marionette. And he will gambol towards you, and his arm will flounce to the side and say, "All right, we want to get right to it then? Fine. Your favor has come due, and I have a simple request for you. Nothing overly dramatic, I promise. In fact, you might even find this assignment fun." You're really tapping all the fun out of this for
And-
me, personally.
At that point, Shay will crack a grin and chuckle.
There we are. A smile. I love a smile. Especially when I just reach in and pull it off of their face. I need you to make an introduction between one of your friends and another one of your friends. That's all. Simple.
Which one of my friends don't know each other?
I have it on good authority that you might, in the near future, find yourself in the Western Reach. There's going to be a party of sorts.
Doesn't.
Yes, fun. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's going to be a unexpected guest at this party.
Okay.
And it really has nothing to do with the favor I'm going to ask, but oh, it's just so juicy.
All right.
Anyway, you're probably going to end up in that general area for this party. And I have a sneaking suspicion that when you turn up in that general vicinity, it's going to trigger a couple of alarm bells with our friends over at that wizard school of yours.
And yeah, I mean, being in the Western Reach, it might happen, yeah.
So, if you could just do me a favor and introduce your friend Florian to Rhiannon, I would greatly appreciate it.
What does Ray have to do with it?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Why would she
That's all.
even show up?
I didn't say she would.
Okay, so this is kind of an extended favor. Just, if it happens, it happens.
No, I would like you to put in a little bit of effort.
Okay. All right. It's good to know the
Just,
parameters.
Get them in the same room, shake hands, exchange pleasantries. That's all. I think they would have a very interesting exchange.
Well,
Easy, right?
I agreed to it, so it's not really
You did.
anything to be done about it.
I mean, there is another option.
Only if I was much more desperate than I am in this moment.
Well, in that case, I would say, in exchange for the information I gave you about the dire circumstances surrounding your digital friend, it's a small price to pay to make a simple introduction.
That's true, especially considering that I don't even know if the information you gave me is true.
Funny thing about us warlocks, right? We
Yeah.
can lie.
And why wouldn't you?
That's the fun part, right? That old coin flip has been driving folks like you mad for... couldn't even tell you.
Which is why I'm trying not to get myself in such a tither over any of it.
Handling it surprisingly well, I'll say that much.
Gotta roll with the punches.
Remember that phrase. Remember that phrase. Spoilers, sorry, I won't say anymore. It's too good. Anyway,
Fine.
so yeah, please, just introduce your two friends. Make sure they say hello to each other. That's all. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? Not that it really matters.
No. Plenty of concerns, but it's none of your business. So,
Well then, good luck. Toodaloo. And if the old man, he'll point at the face he's wearing, asks, I wasn't here. And you see the face go from like this manic grin with these wide eyes, and he'll shudder and close his eyes and kind of slump forward
I'll
onto
like
the floor.
catch him. I know that this. Yeah, I saw this part coming. I'll kind of help prop him up so he doesn't fall.
Mm-hmm. And you catch him, and he kind of gets propped back up, and it's like, is it over?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Just, you're alright. Everything's fine.
I didn't hurt anyone, did I?
Hey. Just sit down, take a rest, okay? You're alright. Everything's fine.
When they said the debt was due, I was so terrified.
It's okay. Wasn't anything bad. You're fine.
Oh, bless the 9. And he'll, make a sign towards the 9 statues at the back of the church.
Are you gonna be alright? Am I okay to leave you, or?
Yes. I'm sorry. I remember you had a name, but I don't remember it now.
That's alright. You can just call me Shay.
Blessings of the dragons be with you, Shay. Thank you.
Well, what's your name?
Gallius.
Gallius. I might be
That's
seeing...
a very Dominion name.
Yeah. Well, Gallius, I ask because I might be seeing you around, so just, want to know who I'm saying hi to. But, yeah.
Well, if you would want to come to service, you are always welcome here. Every minor day, we will say our prayers.
I just sort of clap him on the shoulder, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, so, it's gonna just be more like, if I see you, I see you.
It's a Wednesday.
I don't know what a Wednesday is, but you keep saying words that I have no idea the meaning of, so if I see you, I see you, and I hope you're well. So, get some rest.
And
see you later.
He nods, and you leave him be. Shay, your mind is a roil of thoughts. The name of one of your oldest friends brings back memories of a stifling life that you once led back on Wezrin-Azald. And I think you should have a D10 in knowledge for Western Reach politics.
Yum.
As you're reminded of all the things that drove you away from that place and all of the machinations of wizards that drove you to deny what you are, for a time anyway. The next few days are, dare I say, relaxing. Amari, there is a general sense of contentment that is coming from Layla with you here and with the kids here that you haven't sensed from her since you first met back up with her.
I mean, that's nice. So I'll just relax for a little bit, please and thank you.
Nearend was the beginning of a long, tense period for everyone, basically, in which Amari was on edge because of this rekindling of the relationship with his family. Florian made this turn into some manner of void beast. Oswald died briefly. And of course, the striking of a deal with one of the High Shi. But the next 3 days on Aoka are without any real complication. By the time we get to the 10th of Oatheus, it has been a few days since anything has drawn your attention more pressing than the children are fighting.
That's a good thing, though, right? You're just like, okay, it's children fighting. Okay, it's not a giant monster crushing mechs or a ghost or a vampire or whatever. It's kids fighting. I'm okay with this.
I am assuming at some point we are introduced to Amari's family, but Reed, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it would have been like...
He puts it off as long as possible.
Yeah, every time any one of us come into the room, he's like, okay, time to go.
They walk in the room and I throw pillows over the children. You can't even see them, know that they're there at all. No, y'all would have been introduced relatively quickly. It was just that initial meeting where he would have just preferred to introduce as few people as possible. Call him selfish, but these are his kids, and he just wanted some time.
Yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, and 20 minutes after they showed up, it would have been intros galore for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, these are little kids. They're how old did we say they were? 4?
Yeah.
And they're triplets?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most lians and lichens and even Urson to a certain extent usually have like litters. They have 2 to 5 kids per.
When that happens.
When it happens, yeah. I was going to say per birthing, but that sounded gross in my head.
But you said it anyways later on.
Yeah, leaned in. Lean in.
Oh boy.
I guess, Florian, what do you do with the information that you were given from your family and Aklar about the miners and their situation?
During the downtime, I did bring up that, in that conversation with Amari, that, like, perhaps the best thing to do for them, and also the best thing for Layla to do to, like, not cause an incident, is to pay them off and get them off-world and on to the next, profitable thing. But I don't know if that was passed on or if that is in the process. So Florian's like keeping an ear to the ground about that. But
that information would totally get passed on. Like whatever's going to make life here as easy as possible for like people living here, then that's what's going to happen, right? Or at least that's what I'm going to request happen. I don't really have the official say on that, but if they want to be like go out and find the next big score or anything, then I'm sure we can facilitate that, now that the infrastructure's here.
Okay. In that case, yeah, Chief Scowell and his men are basically paid out of their contract here. Instead of flowing into the workforce that will eventually set up shop here, their contract is terminated with the hegemony, and they are allowed to pull up roots and take off if they wish. Which they do, because this place has bad memories. And there's definitely some rumblings in the couple of days before they leave about this mine being cursed.
That's where the liberal application of money helps.
And because you pay them out and they leave, those rumors don't persist as the new workforce enters.
Love it.
The mine is going to take a little while to get like up and fully operational beyond just like 12 dudes digging in a hole that it was before. To get up into like full ramping production is going to take a lot more time than you probably have here, but that work has already begun. The other bits of Aoka that you've all like put in here, the rec and training center is up and running really quickly. There is a pretty strong military presence, is maybe putting it a little too harshly, but security presence surely is the fact here. There is a house guard that is set up as the local law enforcement agency, essentially. The engineering bay that is set up that is part but services the local vehicles, is also dedicated to servicing Amari's mech, and it kind of has a place of honor in the center of that location. And more than a few people will take a detour in their walks through the town to walk past that bay to see Tux, because Amari is a war hero. He is very famous in certain circles, and those circles suddenly came to live here.
Ugh.
So everyone who is living here now, Amari, treats you with the utmost respect, not only as the prime mate of the Geminus, but also as Amari Kelwarkasa, hero of the Shattering.
Yeah. It'd be great if they didn't, but yeah, that's fine for now.
Ain't gonna happen, bud.
Hey, you still love us.
We can always bring you down a peg.
We give you zero respect to balance it out.
Exactly.
Well, I'm really flattered.
Yeah. It's all for you, bud.
It's for your own good.
Yeah. Yeah.
A small section of the research and development being done here that is mostly associated with the mine is also devoted to more esoteric technologies, especially after a small bit of God's tech is discovered on the planet. It's nothing revolutionary, but it is a known quantity, and about 3 miles south of the city, you discover, I don't think you discover, one of the surveyors discovers a small grove of something that's called a drossel tree. Drossel trees resemble birch trees in basic shape. They are white-barked, pretty small, all things considered. They usually top out at like 15 feet tall, and pretty thin trunks. What makes them unique is that they all share a root system. And by all, I mean all. Interstellar levels of root and like nutrition transfer. So you can have drossel tree groves growing on worlds where it should not support life because they're drawing nutrients from another world entirely. How that's possible, nobody knows. It's God's tech.
Space trees. Cool.
They are space trees.
It's like a fairy ring, but trees!
And they usually do come in circular groves, which what makes them stand out. They're not usually in like any kind of pattern in that circle, but the fact that the grove is perfectly circular does make it stand out.
Do they bear any sort of fruit generally, or
No. In fact, they don't even bear leaves. They're just wiry branches. And each tree appears to be an individual tree, but yeah, their root system is all connected underground. So that leads certain researchers to believe like, hey, there's a little bit of God's tech here. Might be more. Who knows? The Oswald Octavian Theophilus III Laser Tag Arena and Bowling Center is an immediate hit. But there is a certain bad taste that's left in certain people's mouths that the fact that any gambling done here, any money lost to the house, is just going back to Pride Ricasa. But the stuff like the laser tag and it also serves as like a MetaNet cafe. So there's diving rigs here if people want to partake in that sort of thing. Stuff like that. You're not spending any money, actually. It's just open to the public. And so it's only if you're choosing to participate in Dragon's Knuckle or Queen's Court or any of the actual gambling that you have the possibility of losing money to the people who employ you.
Is there a MetaNet site where we can leave reviews established? This is very important.
Well, I mean, you can kind of leave reviews for anything on Looking Glass if they have a proper like business establishment on Looking Maps.
Okay.
But if you are looking for a specific, there is a review site that gained a little bit of popularity centuries ago called Bellow, where people bellow about stuff online.
is Oswald
So if
creating
you wanna-
a bunch of sock puppet accounts to talk about how cool this rec center is?
The
Gotta
first
buy
thing
some
you need to do
bots.
is try to get reviews online from the people who live and work here. Then after that, he will make some sock puppet accounts just to, bolster it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if you lose a star on your Bellow reviews, like, that could be it.
Oh, yeah. It's Live or Die by the Bellow Reviews. Yeah.
How did it, like, what if your dad finds out that you've been propping up your own stuff with fake accounts? Or is that part of the process?
Well, my D8 in cryptography will see to that he doesn't find out.
Oh, like 2 doesn't have sock puppet followers or like bots. Come on, that's how people get famous on any social media site.
Who's to say? But within those 3 days, it is relatively peaceful. You get some food, you get some sleep. You are living a life that is somewhat sedate. You don't really have anything pressing on your plates, though you do know that after this, you've made your first big ally in your efforts against Aegis Tech. Pride Ricasa has your back. That is in no small part thanks to Amari and his wife. But it's going to take more than a minor hegemony noble family to bring down one of the most dangerous corporations in the galaxy. So conversations would begin to turn towards what comes next. Hector Laricus is a name that's been thrown around. Finding him would be a huge step on figuring out exactly who poses a threat to Mara. There's also the matter of Cromwell Silvaro, a married-in member of an imperial noble house who is the director of Project Chimera and the CEO of the entire corporation. It has been implied that if his secrets, his development of Project Chimera were made 100% known, to the Empire at large, it could lead to some form of house war. That could be devastating for the Empire. It could mean a re-escalation of conflicts across the galaxy. It has also been suggested that removing him and Hector Loricus would facilitate a complete deletion of any inside Aegis Tech Solutions that knew the totality of Project Chimera. That there were all these different pieces that came together to create Mera, but nobody had the full picture except for these two men. So what comes next and what other allies you might be able to gather, I leave to the four of you.
Group meeting?
And any NPCs you wish to
I was going to say,
pull in on this.
Vesnes and Kala should be part of this conversation as well, at the very least.
Sure.
The information about Prontus Macius being a part of the shadow organization that is Strata is also shared with everyone.
You would all know pretty much a lot of the same stuff that Amari would know. Strata is a ghost story for the most part. It's like saying the Men in Black.
Well, since we have all gathered, I suppose we're on the Tiresian. Does that feel right?
Yeah, no, we're actually at the bowling alley. No.
All in our bowling shoes.
Yeah.
We've got House Rakasa bowling shirts, everything.
Okay, but actually,
We got
we start a bowling league?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Fuck the main plot. The rest of this movie, or the rest of this show, is just the Big Lebowski.
Which one of us is the dude?
I prefer Kingpin personally, but that's just me.
Yeah. The Jesus. No. No, he's Donnie. Okay.
Oswald have to bowl with one of those little, like, rampy slides that you have to push the ball off of.
Using children's bowling balls. Absolutely.
Put the bumpers up.
Right. So, now that we have all gathered, it's time to decide what we have to do next. It's been lovely having, free time where we're just sitting around and, it's great, Amari, that you are reunited with your kids. I believe, Cheeto, Klingon, and Seaweed.
You're so close. There you go.
Yeah.
Got him. Okay, great.
Glad I introduced you.
No, you're missing one. You forgot about one. What's the other one's name, Oswald?
There's a fourth one?
There's
a
four,
fourth one?
Oswald.
Yeah.
I
There's
introduced
four.
you.
Wait, where did the fourth
Twice.
one go? Really?
Are you bad at
I
math?
don't remember that at all.
Gosh, Oswald, just not paying attention, man.
Slipping in your
What?
old age.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yes, I'm getting up there. Anyways, it's been great, this whole family reunion thing. But let's figure out what we need to do now. My suggestion is we go to Gobwar.
And
Oh yes. So I have legal representation there to re-establish my state of, I suppose, living. See, when we were declared dead, when we went missing, legally speaking, for a period of time, I became dead. And, well, let's just say it's very, very, very important. So important that it is re-established that I am alive. Legally speaking.
but it did.
It's a...
Because the rest of us are definitely legally alive as well.
Yes, but I don't... My family has a very specific... you know what? I don't need to get into it. All I know is that we need...
Empress's tits. Oh, Oswald.
What? No,
Are
it's
you
just...
dead according to your family still?
Yes, we haven't had time to, go to stop at Gobwar and get that settled, and just got so caught up in all of the excitement that I haven't really been focusing on. Needless to say, I would very much, my vote is go to Gobwar. I don't believe it'll take very long, so whatever we do after that is fine. But yes, Gobwar would be fantastic. And then, depending on how long we are taking, in a about 2 months' time, if we could find ourselves maybe in the Western Reach, that would be ideal. So sort of around there.
For what?
Well, I have an appointment and on Vanakel that I have something that I have to go to, and I cannot miss. It's very important.
Like who? So who invited you to this appointment? Like what kind of appointment? A doctor's visit? Because we have a doctor here.
No. Is it vitally important that I say it?
No.
Well, Oswald, I don't think you should go alone.
Ooh, well, I don't think I could. I do not know how to fly a ship, so at the very least, someone to fly me there. I suppose I could learn, but...
No, that's true. I kind of more mean, like, because, I mean, Vanakel is like, I mean, if this is right, okay, we have a couple of Imperial folks on us, and if you're going to be going to Vanakel, Imperial space, you shouldn't go by yourself in case you get, attacked or taken.
Oh, right.
It's
yes,
true.
Yes.
And if we're going to be in the Western Reach, it might be worth looking into who else in those parts might have something to gain by the Silvaro family losing out.
The most...
Yeah, I mean, the big... Well, not the biggest, obviously, but I know it'll be a tense situation, but getting someone from one of the Imperial houses on our side, as distasteful as I find it.
I mean, do we know anything about any of the inner workings of the houses? Is there like a house that historically has beef with House Silvaro at all, or anything like that?
If someone could give me a knowledge roll in, I don't know, Western Reach politics or Imperial politics.
Yeah.
Got military history. Does that work?
I mean, military history, maybe.
help.
Yeah,
Sure. Let's.
wouldn't hurt.
Dragonswake history, perhaps? It's pretty
That could maybe help if you wanted to.
We all
assist.
know
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, I'll throw you an extra
Florian's just
D10.
Yeah,
I'm
throw
just
you
the
a D.
brainstorm
Wow.
man. You guys figure out who I was talking about.
I'm the ideas man.
Yeah. I just throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Let's see. There's another D10. Okay.
Are you rolling all
What's our
the
pool
here?
ones
Yes.
we're adding?
Yes.
Okay.
So I am using my recently acquired D10 in Western Reach politics. I have a D6 in knowledge as well. And I'm going to use cleverly because that feels right for a knowledge thing
Yeah.
to me. And I'm using the 2d10s I've gotten from my pals.
Okay. Sounds good. Baseline here is going to be a 15.
Okay.
But one of those rolls where higher you get, the more information you might receive.
23.
23. That's pretty good. House Silvaro is one of the older noble houses in the Empire. Something you would definitely know about the Empire as a whole is that it uses a lot of the same, like, nomenclature and kind of cultural clothing. Like, over the top, it looks a lot like the Dominion. But underneath that, there's a lot of much older culture tied in with this collection of worlds called the Old Holds, which are supposedly the first worlds where Midrian culture sort of emerged from. Midrians were one of the few species in the Dragon's Wake that kind of cropped up on multiple worlds, as opposed to having just like one central home world. Other species have that as well, Elf being one of them. But the Old Holds are definitely like some of the most numerous of just like, yeah, we can claim this as a species home world, and there's like 13 of them. Silvaro dates back to an era before the Empire, back when the Old Holds were a different government entirely. So some of the houses that date back that far as well have always had kind of like long-standing rivalries with each other. House Canis, in fact, isn't even one of those original houses. House Canis is a dominion thing that then spun off into becoming its own imperial house. So, already, House Canis, not a huge fan of House Silvaro, right there. The big ones you would know of that kind of have a similar backbitey kind of relationship with House Silvaro would be House Maffei, which is supposedly the house that made the first big deal with the Court of Air for the Empire. And they even claim that their noble line has, like, she blood, which is probably bullshit, but it's part of their house's propaganda. House Zolorus would be another one that's, like, right up there in terms of ancient Midrian high houses that they probably just don't like each other on principle. But what did you get, a 23?
Yeah, we know. Do we know Azolorus? Is that Julian?
I was gonna say, what was Julian's last? What house was
Farside?
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Farside is a very, very recent noble house. In fact, they've only become a noble house since the Shattering.
Right.
Or around that time. It wasn't actually like during the war itself. No, House Zolorus is one half of Zolkon Industries, which makes up like the...
That's right.
Used arms sales wing of the Canis Empire.
Yeah.
No, the other house that you know, kind of like, I wouldn't say anti-Silvaro, but definitely like these two are competing on some big levels, is House Astra. They are known for like map making and different pioneers in specific wizardly navigation. You would have known about House Astra specifically because it is one of the few blended houses of Elv and Midrian. So, like, there are Elv and Midrian members of House Astra. There are even some half-elves among their number, which is exceedingly rare.
Is there a reason why that's rare, or...?
It's tough to have a relationship with a hive mind, mostly.
Yeah.
Only if you're boring.
Fair. Yeah.
I mean...
Especially with that attitude.
Sure. When I say exceedingly rare, I mostly just mean, like, statistically.
Okay.
Like, there are trillions of people in the Dragon's Wake galaxy. Is there probably, like, a thoroughly, like, million-strong population of half-elves out there? Yeah, probably. But, like, statistically, there are an incredibly small margin. House Astra is one of the leading competitors of Silvaro in terms of pioneering navigation technology when it comes to connecting to the metanet to help with navigation. Silvaro and Aegis Tech Industries have helped pioneer the whole identify friend or fae systems. But House Astra was always kind of the opinion that actually, like, hinders ships' abilities to get around the galaxy at a quicker rate. Whether or not there's any, like, validity to these claims, that's kind of up in the air, and usually most people consider that the risk of having a fae infect your ship is way... Why would you want to go faster if that's a possibility or a risk?
If you go fast enough, the fae can't catch you.
Nope.
No.
I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe it's
that's
that.
The problem, is thinking.
Yeah.
That's like saying if you go fast enough, time can't catch you. Like, no, it's not how that works.
Well,
we haven't gone fast enough yet. We just haven't tried.
You just have to go at fast speed of light. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's totally easy and doable.
Yeah.
Also, your own personal time doesn't actually, like, change at all.
Yeah.
You just, your perceptions and everyone else's perception of how you're moving through space and time. Anyway, this is why we have the void, to get rid of dilation.
Because that's complicated.
Uh-huh.
Traveling through that green hell. Fun stuff.
Hey, beats time dilation.
Yeah.
It does suck when you arrive at a planet, across the galaxy, and everyone you were talking to about, like, coming over has been dead for, billions of years.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of apes everywhere for some reason.
It's got all...
They burned it down.
Damn them all to hell.
You would also know that House Astra was responsible for a lot of early ship pioneering when it comes to like pushing the abilities of StarCraft in the Western Reach and the ability of ships to travel at regular, like, outside of the void speeds at any kind of comparable speed. Yeah, them and Silvaro have always sort of butted heads.
Now, all of that is to say...
Lots of options.
How, right options, but also, like, what is the angle that we, if we want to provoke this house war in a different way, because that's what it would be if we got any of these imperial houses on our side. Like, let's be real.
I mean, it doesn't even necessarily have to be any sort of revelation of real information, as long as they're putting the pressure on House Silvaro by investigating. It depends on who we come into contact with.
Yes.
Also, the alternative of, like, not doing this is that eventually Aegis Tech catches up to us and has an artificial fae being and starts a house war anyway and wins it handily.
Florian, I just hesitate. I mean, not hesitate, but, like, I'm cautious about this because they're not just going to... I don't know. We would have to tell them something, and they're not just going to do it because we said...
No,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll depend on... We'd have to cater that strategy to whoever we ended up making contact with.
Okay.
But the other problem with that is that, damn, for a group of people who got together and said to some godlike figure, we want to run a campaign full of political intrigue. It sucks that two of us chose characters with absolutely no political ties. Pew pew.
We have. Right. Well, I suppose if I know anything about houses, which what I know is just freely available on the metanet, they'll most likely want to handle whatever this is quietly. Obviously, sending out all this information just willy-nilly on the metanet, that would certainly cause a house war, but if we are careful with who we select, and we maybe do some digging as to who is in charge of these houses, what their machinations are, or what their goals are, perhaps we can pick the best candidate. We have the winning ticket. We have this information. We just need to decide who is best to receive it. But of course, none of us have an in with any of these houses, so, you know, we'll have to start from the bottom. Amara, you look like you have a question.
Well, okay. We have all this information. We have Mara, right?
Right.
Do we... I feel like the best option would be to get Hector, right? He's gonna allow for context for everything.
That's true.
He's also gonna have information about who also might be involved in this project. Before we start going off trying to shop this to people, to get people on our side, it might be best to know who's actually involved and who stands to benefit from this.
That's true.
That's a fair point. Do we have any leads on that?
Unfortunately, not anything terribly actionable.
Something I kind of glossed over when you were all looking for information on Hector is, like, there are listed whereabouts of just, like, where he lives on his, like, social media pages and stuff.
Oh.
So, like, you whether or not it's real, who knows?
Or if it's one of his many addresses.
Yeah, or if they've got him stored away in a crate somewhere and there's a very convincing lookalike living his life for him. You don't know. But you would know that according to the searches you've done and the information you were able to dig up, on paper, Hector Laricus lives on a world called Varmstead.
I just
Good
assumed
old
he lived on the
Varmstead.
Typhon.
And that could be the case. Varmstead is one of the old holds. It is squarely a Imperial world, as opposed to something like Vanakel, which is in Empire space, but is technically an independent system.
I mean, might be worth it to prod that lead a little bit, see if there is any truth to the fact that he maybe once lived there, even.
Could be the start of a breadcrumb trail, saying.
Got it.
Trail of.
I thought you said a brunch crumb trail. And I was like,
Yep,
damn.
that's it. Brunch crumb trail. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's when you go from brunch spot drinking mimosas.
Shit, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Brunch crawl.
Know what we're doing when we go to the beach?
Well, but the trick there is finding a bunch of brunch spots on the beach.
Yeah, because
That you
weirdly
can
enough,
crawl
most beach
to.
places have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Southeast has plenty of brunch spots.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Just saying.
Stick to Hawthorne alone.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I'm in love.
Sorry, local Portland references. Anyway,
Do brunch with your friends. Do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
PSA. Do brunch with your friends.
You've got
Yeah.
brunch
Just
say
places
for
around
material
here.
This is a very special episode called "Do Brunch with Your
Listen,
Friends."
we've all had a lot of fun
brunch.
here today.
You know what would make it more fun? Brunch.
brunch.
Okay, so here's the game.
Yeah.
1, go to Gobwar. 2, go to Vanikel. 3, do whatever we're doing about Hector. Sound good?
Listen, Oswald, I feel for you, and I do think that I also think that your things are important. Like this is important to you, and so it's important. You seem to be kind of a bit laissez-faire about the whole Aegis tech thing, and
It's very important. It's so important. It's so important, in fact, that I've been focused on it for most of this year and not focusing on other things that might be coming up. So if we could just do this other stuff first, then all of a sudden I can give my full attention to this Aegis tech thing. But until then, I'm going to be distracted. You know, I can't really stay focused on anything. You all understand, right?
It would be good for us to know what is going to require our attention, other than we need to go to Gobwar so you can sign a document saying that you're alive. I feel like that could probably be an email.
It's a series of documents, but yes, of course.
Could be a series of emails.
No, I believe I need to be physically present to prove my living status.
I mean that makes sense.
The fine print is very, very clear. Very.
Vesnes and Kala have been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Kala is sort of looks like she is attempting to pluck up the courage to say something, but Vesnes will raise a hand, as is her wont.
Yeah. Business, please.
Business. Yeah.
Everyone seems to be avoiding the question, what is happening on Vanikel?
Oh no, Vesnes, we are
Oswald
getting
doesn't
to
want
that.
to talk about it.
Okay.
I thought we
And she leans back and pulls out a small bucket of snacks and starts munching.
I'm pretty sure we covered it. We said I have some business. I have an appointment. I have things to deal with, and then we could be on our way. It won't last longer than a day.
Still leaning back with her snacks, she'll say, "That is very vague."
Yes.
Thank you, Vesnes, yeah.
Specifically, the 3rd of Premium. That date in particular.
Okay, I'm just going to hop on the MetaNet really quick and do a quick search for events that day. Anything come up, Mike?
The 3rd of Premium.
You gotta narrow the search, put Vanikel in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I would assume that at Vanikel, and then
Theophilus,
I'm going to throw Theophilus in there.
Oh, okay. In that case, you would find that there is apparently a launch party for the newest flavor of 12 Loco happening at the corporate offices of Vorpal Corp.
Oswald,
Oh my god, we're attending a launch party. That's awesome.
Oswald, is this for 12 Loco?
Not directly, no.
But this is it, right? And I
Loose. I mean, it's loosely associated. It is certainly
okay. So it's a
happening
Vorpal. It's a Vorpal Corp thing.
tangentially.
So
why do you have to be present for a Vorpal Corp thing?
Oswald, I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
do you want me to say it, or do you?
Do you want me to say
share?
it?
Yeah, because
What? Say what?
The new flavor, by the way, is called Samba Surprise.
Thanks, I hate it.
Oh.
And your stomach will too.
Wipes a little bit of saliva just from.
It's like a samba in your digestive tract.
I'm terrified to find out what the surprise is.
It's what happens after you drink it. About 37 minutes. They've got it down to a exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a. Anyways, what
Oswald.
Shay, Amari, implying.
I mean, Shay, do you want to?
I only just found out, so I think you should say it. You're the team leader, technically our boss.
Yeah.
I know, Florian. I said technically.
Yeah.
Good. I was
Even at this point,
concerned
Amari
there
is
for a
just like,
moment.
boss. Yeah, no one's a boss here.
Yeah.
Kala's like, you're all getting paid?
I'm not-
No.
No. We all say it in
I'm not-
unison.
Oh, good.
Anyways,
We're getting paid in not being killed immediately by forces from Aegis Tech.
That is my favorite currency.
Same.
Oh,
time.
also, Kala and Vesnus know that they can use money from the discretionary fund, right?
They haven't really had any need to.
Okay.
We've been in space a
but
lot.
they can.
Yeah.
Oswald, I know, Shay knows where you're from and who your family is. So you don't
I am an
need to be
Avia. Of
around.
course I'm from Vanakil.
Nope.
That makes sense, right?
This is all so exciting and tension worthy.
Yeah. Oswald is Oswald's father is a leading member of Vorpal Corp.
Yes.
Okay, neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my Septimus is high-ranking member of Verbal Corp. What we are going for is his birthday party.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Oh, Oswald, that's sort of sweet. There's
He just
plenty of
stares like at you with the most haunted look you've ever seen him. He's looked into the void, and the expression on his face is more haunted than you've ever seen it.
He got
And
more
Shay is
substance and love from
And
the
Shay is
void than his father.
remembering. And Shay is remembering Oswald cowering on the ground, shuddering and begging Septimus to forgive him, and just like, I don't know about that one.
okay. But sure, I think the rest of the team can, understand that this is like an important thing for you. And there's plenty of time between, if we go to, there's plenty of time between then and now. We could go to Gobwar, do some messing around in the Reach, and be, lickety split right in time for your pa's birthday.
What, how long is it going to take us to get to Gobwar?
That's a really good question.
It
I'm glad
is.
somebody asked it.
Because I don't actually think that that's true for Olivia.
Well, we just mentioned, it might be worth it to go to the Western Reach anyway, so...
Sure. So, if we look at our handy-dandy galaxy map, we will note where it says Vast Plain. The
Cool place. Full of
planetary
cool
system
people.
of Aoka is relatively near there, somewhere between Minos and Vast Plain. That's why you pass by Minos on the way here.
Mm-hmm.
Gobwar is, if you're at the 3 o'clock on a standard clock face, Gobwar is somewhere in the 4-5 o'clock vicinity. It's not close, but unfortunately there's no quick ways there. Now, once you get to Gobwar, getting over into the Western Reach, pretty easy, because you've got a gate world right there next to Gobwar. But the trip to Gobwar will take a couple of weeks with the ship you have right now. Now, if you get aboard a bigger ship, it could be a lot faster.
The Radiant one. Who said that? That was weird.
The Radiant one is not a bigger ship.
Not bigger than a Tiresian?
Mm-mm.
Huh. Weird. I always imagined it was a large, like, ambassador ship that had a bunch of people.
I mean, it's
I think
it is.
Yeah,
big.
I think Mike described it as
just,
like it's a private vessel.
Mm-hmm. It's like certain yachts and certain fishing trawlers are about the same size. One just has a lot more space for, people stuff, and one has a lot more space for
Fish.
weird
stuff.
science rigs and fishing stuff.
That's
Yeah.
But I am supposing that we could maybe ask Layla if we could use a bigger ship. Now, the
sooner the
optics
better.
of us entering Imperial space in a hegemony ship, I don't know about that.
Right. A risk we are all willing to take for this very important mission. Agreed. Let's go!
But that is why you're stopping off on Gob War.
That's true.
There's a lot of opportunities there to find a ship that is a little less conspicuous. You also know the Tiresian specifically is like Imperial made.
This is true. So, like, we could take a bigger ship to Gob War, put our ship in that ship, and then peace off out after Gob War.
Yes.
This is true.
Great plan. Yes.
That just comes down to if Layla will be like, yeah, here, sure, take this.
Well, we've done so much.
I mean, we
Yeah.
can always tell her that. I mean, and this is not right technically a lie. We could always say that we're heading that way to try to get more allies for this thing that we're doing.
Right. The three houses, they're all in the Western Reach, so it makes sense. Right?
I mean, we're probably going to have to talk to her about all of this stuff.
I mean, we can also just ask if there's a different ship we can use. Just like in general, that would get us where we need to go, and just...
Is that not?
I thought you were talking about taking the Radiant one.
No.
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 Okay.
Good
Ask,
ship.
like, well, I'm
ship.
bringing Layla into this hypothetically because she's our political sugar mama. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. If we need something that is
Yeah, like any ship we're gonna get that's not the
It's gonna have
Tiresian,
to
it's
go
gonna
through
be
her.
yeah.
Yeah, and I at least from what Mike said, it sounded like we were pretty tapped out in that regard, but we can always ask, right?
You won't be buying a new thing, but if there's something available, maybe. You do know that there was just a bunch of huge cargo ships that came through here and dropped off a bunch of pre-made buildings. Some of those might still be around that you can maybe hitch a ride with. You're not going to be able to commandeer anything brand new, I'll say that much.
yeah.
At best, you're hitching a ride to Gob War.
Damn, and I had grown so used to our life of luxury.
And what are we gonna do about traveling through the void?
Well, so if we
Well,
do
if we're-
take a bigger ship, then we can just pop the Tiresian in there. And then I
Yeah.
can just take a snooze in the bunker.
Yeah. The three of us can take a snooze in the bunker.
Well, two of you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Do we know about that?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, gee, Oswald, that's a funny thing for you to say.
Right. Yes, of course. I forgot to mention. Thanks to the... Actually, did I mention it? Now I don't remember.
I think you did, actually.
I believe I did. It wasn't a scene, but I think I mentioned that I
Oh,
would have
okay.
discussed. Yeah, okay, that's right, yeah.
Just that, like, Mira had interrupted and it wouldn't be a problem anymore. I think was the most that we discussed. We were just like, yep, seems normal.
That's as much as I understand it, so yeah.
Oh, great. Well, that's hey.
So, yeah. So are we going now? Is now when we're going? We're leaving right now? Is that...
I mean, we don't we should probably bring stuff.
Sure,
Like-
yes.
Tux is in the engineering bay on the moon. Like, I gotta go get that and
Sure.
put it back on the
No, we have
Tiresian,
to pack
and then
and get ready.
and we gotta
Yeah.
contact one of the other cargo ships to be like, hey, can we hitch? Are you going Gob War way? There's some stuff we gotta do.
Sure.
We also have to all agree that we're doing this.
Oh, I thought we already...
Like, Kala, Vesnus, if you want to stay here, that's fine. If you want to go with us, totally up to you.
Vesna seems super on board with coming along. Kala definitely seems a little bit more reticent.
Yeah, girl, you've kind of been going nonstop for a bit, so if you want to just take a load off for a while.
I'm sure you could find, something to do around here. Or just kick around if you want.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to go with us if you don't want.
It's not that I don't want to go, it's just, you're going into the Empire, and she'll kind of gesture up at her horns.
Oh, literally.
Oh, yeah, like...
like, well, salute there, like, fucking same, girl.
And Vesnus will say, it's not stopping me, and she'll gesture down at her whole cogrishness.
We'll just, like, high-five business.
Kala will say, if you think you'll need my help, then I'd be happy to go with you, but I would, no offense, but maybe spending some time here, figuring out, helping them maybe with strange energy readings off of the drossel trees or something, or
Yeah.
just not flying through space for a little while.
That sounds like a great idea to me.
I don't want you to feel like I'm abandoning the crew, though.
No, this is actually perfect. You can take care of my plants. This is great, actually.
You have plants that are alive?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yes, of course I'll take care of your plants.
And if you'd like, you could use the R&D facilities specialty there if needs be.
Oh, well, I'll ask Layla for sure.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, Kala is determined to stay behind unless someone convinces her otherwise.
She needs a break. So.
I think she needs a break.
Okay. So in those 3 days before the 10th, then she will pack up her stuff and set up shop here on Oak.
It's a pretty cool place.
And getting cooler by the day.
Yeah. I would like to have a conversation with her off the ship somewhere. Like, maybe I'm helping her bring stuff to wherever she's going.
Okay. There is a small apartment building that has been set up here. It is like 10 stories tall. Again, this quickly became a township overnight, essentially. And so there are a lot of empty spaces that need filling, and more people are arriving every day to fill them. But she's set up in a pretty comfortable position. Her association with Amari affords her a lot of respect. She stands out because she's one of the taller people here and one of the few Taro. But she definitely is making her comfortable way into a 2-bedroom affair, one of which she's going to dedicate to a metanet suite and office. So you're helping her move into this new apartment of hers.
I'm like levitating boxes and shit.
Oh yeah, super useful. Wizards during a move.
Yeah.
Except you run into the problem that people with big cars and trucks do, which is that everyone asks you to help.
Everybody wants me to help them move.
But the truth of the matter is that Kala really didn't have that much to move. 4 boxes max.
Yeah.
And most of that is disassembled computer parts for when she tore apart her metadiving rig.
Yeah. All right. I'll admit I had an ulterior motive helping you move. I do want to make sure you're okay. Just generally speaking, I know that it's been a lot for you, and I really hope that, being planet-side for a while is going to be a good thing for you.
Yeah. I think it will. Not that I haven't enjoyed my time aboard the Tavrisian, it's been a lot.
You spent, nearly a couple of weeks thinking that reality wasn't real, so, look, you don't have to...
I'll admit it got a little, bad there for a bit, but it's tough, because I grew up on a planet where everything was laid out in front of me. I knew exactly what was going to happen every single day, and then the world sort of fell apart 5 years ago, and it's just been a roller coaster since, and then I left that planet, where it was already a roller coaster, and it turns out what I thought was a roller coaster was actually a pretty leisurely stroll. So perspective has been broadening quite a bit.
I can certainly sympathize.
But I think just a little bit of time to recenter myself and maybe go a phase or two without anything imposing a different reality over my mind would be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. So, to you, and I'll be thanking the others too before you leave, but getting off of Asclipsis is the best thing that's ever happened to me. If it weren't for all of you, I would still be working for a crazy old man who was trying to control the weather.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we could help you.
I'm glad that you're all helping the galaxy.
It's...
The whole Mera business is a lot.
Yeah.
And I know of plenty of people who would just as easily try to turn her in for some sort of reward.
You think we get a lot? Kidding.
Yes.
Yes, I know. No, I know. I just a bad joke. It's probably going to come out while we're in the Western Reach, but since you're the only person who currently knows about it, I wanted to, I guess, give you an update on incredibly stupid decision to make a deal with a warlock.
Right. That was sort of why I was hesitant to stay here.
Well...
If I'm staying here, you need to tell somebody else, Shay.
I know. And the reason I say that it's probably going to come out is, well, they already called in the favor.
Are you alright?
Yeah, it's not anything too bad on the surface, but, I can't imagine that it's going to end well, knowing my luck. They knew about whatever's happening with Oswald, that we were going to go to the Western Reach. They want me to introduce Florian to a friend of mine from Wezron Azalt. Apparently, that's going to line up.
I'm not going to tell you not to do it, because that would be very, very bad. Unless you want this thing wearing your skin in the near future.
I want to, so...
They always do. What I will say is that the favors that seem the least damaging always end up being the most.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
I managed to never entangle myself with the Court of Fire on Asclipsis, but there are plenty of people who did. And even if you think what you're doing is a small little favor that isn't hurting anyone, it will have ripples that you can't foresee. But a deal is a deal.
I just wanted to let you know that, I don't know.
The ball is rolling. I'll see you again before you leave, but thank you for the help.
Anytime.
In a few short days, you manage to line up transport aboard a large carrier that is still in the system, that was transporting goods and people to and from Aoka, and were coming from Vastplane specifically. This cargo hauler is, once it's done dropping the supplies here, which it will do soon, is going to leave and leap to Efri Yog, the large gate world in the Eastern Reach that is controlled by the Akasi. From there, they will move to Dowthul, the gate world that is near Gobwar. That movement will take less than a day. This ship is huge, and it will make the leap to Efri Yog in 3 minutes. It sort of sits in stark contrast, the rate at which people who can afford it can move through the galaxy.
Damn, you should have picked up that ship with the flames on the side.
Comfort and style. Amari.
Yes.
What does the conversation with Layla look like when you tell her that you need to leave again?
I think it's a conversation that he doesn't really want to have, and he knows that she doesn't want to have either. A conversation about the specifics as much as he can share, and give her specific times that they are planning on being back, right? Because I think what he gave her in the first, when he first left to join the Cole Foundation, was vagueness. And I think now the best he can do is specificity.
When you walk into the room to have this conversation, her face goes from this kind of bright smile to a sag of her shoulders and kind of more of a creasing of the brow. Her whiskers will twitch in an unsettled fashion, and her ears will kind of fold back, but that will slowly droop into kind of more of a resigned look, and her head will tilt down, and she'll shake her head, because it seems like she knew this conversation was going to happen. She was just hoping that it wouldn't be today. But she's been hoping it wouldn't be today the whole time you've been here, and she was hoping it wouldn't be today every day in the future. She appreciates your candor about what's happening next. You detail a plan to travel to Gobwar, to find Oswald's legal representation to reestablish his status as a living person. You tell her about your plans to travel into the Western Reach and the seat of imperial power. You talk about Varmstead as though it is just another planet to visit, when it in fact is an old hold, one of the original Midrian worlds. You talk about going to Vanakel, a place so entrenched in corporate dogma that the youth grow up on Vorpal Corp propaganda from the moment they hatch. But she knows that you've raided secret moon bases, you've fought corporate cyborgs, and you have rescued a small artificial girl who is possibly the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. The scales kind of tip back and forth on whether or not what comes next is more dangerous than what comes before. She asks you to make her a promise, though, that when this is done, when you've toppled an imperial house, when you've made safe an artificial she, that you come back here so you can spend a few cycles being a father.
Oh yeah. Pinky promise. Like double pinky promise. It's hard because the hands are not like quite normal hands. They're a little toe beanie, just a little bit.
Yeah.
He saw the kids doing it, so yeah.
A Leon pinky promise is a very delicate matter in which they extend the claws ever so slightly, and the claws of the other person very so delicately latch onto each other. And so that there's just enough tension between the two of them that as you're trying to pull them apart, you feel that pressure, but not hard enough that you're pulling the other Leon's claw tight. So there's this moment of tension between the two of you that if one decided to pull harder would cause an intense amount of pain. Because if you pull at a cat's claw, they will scratch you. So it is this intimate form of trust that forms between two Leons when they have this exchange. And yes, I have just turned a pinky promise that you said as a goof into a very meaningful piece of Leon lore right now.
Fucking brilliant. I love it so much.
She does say one more thing before you go, though. She asks you to spend your last night here with the kids in whatever activity you choose. So what do you spend your last night on Naoka doing with the kids?
There's a beautiful bowling alley available for use.
No. Hey, weirdly enough, Amari and Reed both hate bowling. Not hate, just like one game. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Spending the whole night with the kids going bowling, too much.
You take him to the combat training center, obviously.
No, I'm gonna. How active are the leaper things at night?
They get really, really active around dusk.
Oh, okay.
The little cricket iguanas.
I was gonna say we all go out for a picnic and stuff like that, and just hang out outside. But I don't know if there's giant lizard bugs here. Maybe that's not the best plan. Maybe that plan backfires pretty.
Giant. They're like the size of squirrels.
Yeah, sure. We'll do that. We'll let them let the kids chase after squirrels and stuff like that. Okay. These lizard-sized squirrel-sized lizard bug things.
Anywhere in particular, or just out in the wilderness outside of town?
Yeah, just out in the wilderness outside of town. Maybe go check out the cool trees a little bit.
Okay. You have a picnic within sight of the grove of drossel trees, these birch white stand of trees in the distance. And it is a pleasant picnic with the family here on Aoka. You spend the time watching the kids run through the grass, sometimes chasing leapers that get a little too close, Sagira is definitely the one to catch one of them, and then once she does, she has no idea what to do with it, and it begins like this hissing, creaking sound that as soon as she lets it go, it like leaps off of her face and bounds off into the trees.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny. I shouldn't laugh.
It's very funny. If you were filming, you could easily send this to Dragon's Wake's Funniest Home Videos, and they'd probably get at least an honorable mention.
Bob Saget. Space Fantasy Bob Saget would be like, wow, look at that. Bazoing. I don't know. I don't remember what he actually does during the videos.
Weirdly enough, it's still only $1,000. It's $1,000, and who knows what a dollar
like,
is?
we don't even use those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This moment that you're building with your family, Amari, is something out of a sappy hollow vid, but it is also so different than the life that made you who you are. There's a stark contrast between the broken skies of Minos and the wholesome glow that fills the grove of the drossel trees as you picnic with your family here. This was maybe not the reason you fought, but it's the reason you fight now. Whether or not you can even settle into a life, or whether or not you believe you deserve a life like this, is a question I leave to your internal monologue. But by the look in Layla's eyes, you can tell that this is why she fights. This is why she's trying to build what she's building. For you, for the kids, to make a galaxy worthy of this family. The day comes when the crew of the Tiresian needs to leave. It is the 10th of Waithia. You leave behind a crewmate who you freed from indentured servitude on a formerly corporate world. You leave behind Amari's family, who you've only just begun to meet. But you're heading back out into the galaxy to the dangers that await there. There are bounty hunters hired by corporations that want you all dead. There is a seemingly real, secret operational wing of the Canis Empire that now has you on their radar in the form of Strata. There are still the dangers that lurk within two of you in the form of the void corruption that festers inside Florian. And let us not forget Shay. Greater powers also watch over your shoulder. Somewhere out there, an orc named Brother Hune has been made aware of your movements via your interactions with God's Tech up to this point. An entity known as the Archproctor took a personal interest in your well-being and your actions in the galaxy. An organization called the Cole Foundation fostered your relationship together and produced this team that is now moving out with the intention of striking against Aegis Tech Solution in the name of protecting a small virtual girl who is even now making herself into something new. It will take you a day to get to Dowthul. From there, it will take you another 3 days to get to Gobwar. Once there, you have a meeting, Oswald, with a representative of the House of Contracts. This is what passes for a government on Gobwar. There, the law mercs of the House of Contracts will, presumably, pronounce you alive.
Excellent.
But precisely what is going to happen on the home world of the ogres, and what is going to happen once the crew of the Tiresian reaches the Western Reach and pierces into the heart of the Canis Empire, we'll have to wait until next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at mkgorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.